they all said that I had a drinking problem. They're seeing the outcome of what the drinking produces. They don't understand that, like, I'm about to kill myself when I don't have the drink, right? And the only thing that would get me through that was the drinking. People are dying every day from drug overdoses and drinking and driving and just the lifestyle that that brings. I mean, I look at where I came from and just the people that I offended and took. I made victims around me. I would never laugh about some of the stuff that I was doing.
Hi, Michael. Today, I had the privilege of interviewing his wife a few months ago, Danielle. So, Michael, I am excited to hear your journey today.
Yeah. So my name is Michael Robinson, and I'm an alcoholic, recovered alcoholic, and my sobriety date is November 10th, 2016. Sitting here today, it it doesn't make sense how I get to live this life with my wife that you met and my boys and the community around me and just the presence, right? Like it's full tilt. I like to think that, I get sober, all of a sudden I take away the drinking problem and my life gets better. But when you're wired like me, I go insane if I don't have a solution, right? Like if I don't have a God in my understanding and if I don't got a team that I can plug into and say, hey, I don't know how to ride the bus without feeling less than, then I go completely insane. And that going through the step work, I mean, I'm almost 9 years sober and going through the steps over and over and continuing my spirituality, it completely makes sense today. But in the very beginning, I've been trying to get sober since I was 13, multiple treatment centers, multiple teachers, multiple legal situations, moms, girlfriends, jobs. They all said that I had a drinking problem. And so, a kid, getting told this, they're seeing the outcome of what the drinking produces. They don't understand that, like, I'm about to kill myself when I don't have the drink, right? And the only thing that would get me through that was the drinking, which led to drinking or to drugs and ultimately crime, right? Like I spent 12 years in prison, three different sentences, and I don't know, wasn't like I was raised to, commit crime or, I didn't want to be raised as a drunk, low bottom, living under the bridge person, like that wasn't the vision, through high school or even, I mean, all my 20s, I was locked up. And so it wasn't like, that wasn't my drive when I was drinking at parties and skipping school to drink. Right. And I always thought it was like a light switch, which I was just lying to myself because my drinking isn't a light switch. Once I start, I can't stop. Even though I want to tell myself and I can convince myself that, oh yeah, this time's going to be different. They're not going to care. They're not going to know. Well, that's just a lie that I told myself for multiple years. I don't know. I think it takes what it takes, and that's what I'm totally grateful for. That in my life and in my case, that it finally took, right? Like I finally hit another rock bottom. That essentially it was like I had this ultimatum of whether I reach out for help or do I just keep on going to do what I'm doing. And ultimately, it was like I asked for help again, because every time I went to treatment, every time I went to juvie, every time I went to jail, prison, I always got out with the idea that I was going to stay sober this time, right? And I would live my life through letters to the people that would write me, promising and creating ideas and all this outside stuff that I thought that was going to keep me focused. And I'd get out 2, 3 days, I'd be uncomfortable, I wouldn't have a solution, and I'd go right back to drinking a half gallon of whiskey, and that was my MO. I would get released, I'd get uncomfortable, and I would run the opposite direction. And the way that I ran would be, numb the pain. Numbing the pain would cause me to cause crime, take hostages, be a menace to society. I got 40 felonies, large, high violent, 40. It was high violent, high likely to reoffend. Like they just wanted me gone, and, ultimately, I was 31 sitting in jail again, looking at a 10-year sentence for guns and running from the cops and drugs and stuff. And they asked me if I wanted help. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, there's this drug court program. And I was like, all right, I had started getting pictures of my son. Might get emotional because it's pretty powerful, like, I mean, I mean, on black and white paper, I was high violent, high likely to reoffend. I was unpredictable, right? Like I could be laughing with you 1 minute, but I could be robbing you the next minute. And it was like, I didn't know when I was going to do it. I didn't know why I was doing it. It was just, I was acting out because I was embracing that lifestyle. So when they asked me, if I wanted help, I started getting pictures of my newborn son, Darwin. And it was like, that's how I was raised. I didn't have a dad. In and out of prison, my dad was. My dad's still cooking dope to this day, or doing what he's always done, never really there. And I'm like, if I don't do this now, I'm never going to do it. And they released me 90 days later, and I got into an Oxford house. And I've been in the court system since I was 13, 14 years old. The courts have never been a consequence to me. I mean, maybe another time, another story, but like I found myself inside of prison, living a lifestyle where I was felt wanted, I felt needed, I felt power. I was comfortable in there. I went in there scared kid, but I found myself in there where it was like, this is my home, and I was comfortable in there. And that's not everybody's story, but ultimately, I was raised by the system. And so when I got this opportunity to have drug court, it was like I got to this Oxford house, and I started to understand, like, I need something that's going to be long term and going to help for real, right? And I started going to Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's where it was like I started doing things that I didn't think were going to work. I started doing what I was told, regardless of what I thought. And I had a real hard ass as a sponsor the first 5, 6 years. I mean, even my sponsor now, the truth tellers are ultimately how my life stays where it's at. Like being told, hey, Michael, we don't act and behave like that in this meeting. This is a sanctuary, right? Like I had to be told that stuff. And so, I started doing the steps, started checking in with DOC, started doing drug court, and ultimately this life is coming up around me where, my little sister started talking to me again. We didn't talk for, 10 years just because of my lifestyle. She was married and had kids and all of this stuff. And, ultimately it was like I came to her in the middle of the step work, making amends. And I can't even believe how life is, right? Like it's like right away, like the first 90 days, 6 months, 9 months, I'm like, do you guys even know who I am? Right? Like, cause I wasn't fully convinced that I was going to make it in the community, right? Like I'm a drunk that drinks no matter what. I'm the guy that tells you what you want to hear and does whatever he wants. Like Michael does whatever he wants, whenever he wants. And that's the core, that's part of the whole dilemma is that I'm a taker, right? At the end of the day, I would never want to lose. But ultimately, somehow by helping you or helping them, my problems dissolve. And it doesn't make sense today, but it's still the same solution today. And I honestly think that that's where that spiritual concept comes and applies in my life is that I'm doing stuff that doesn't make sense and it's not going to work, but I do it anyways. And somehow my problems are automatically taken care of. Right. I was talking about it last night in the meeting. I stayed plugged in and I have a home group. I've had a home group for many years. I've got sponsored. I've had a sponsor the whole time. I sponsor men in Alcoholics Anonymous. And then ultimately I was talking about last night that the problems that I came in here with aren't the same problems that I have today. Right. But it just because they're not they don't look the same. It's still wrapped around fear, selfishness, self-taker, all of that. There's like 5 or 6 different categories that essentially I drive to when I'm looking at my character defects, and ultimately I have those truth tellers that are like, Michael, it's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. Right. Like,
Yeah.
and I was that guy that nobody wants to approach me. Nobody's going to say nothing to me. Like I was that guy that, like, you tell me the wrong thing, I'm going to fight, I'm going to hurt, I'm going to disrupt whatever you're saying, so completely different than today, right? Completely different than today. My wife and I have been together, over 8 years. We've been married, almost 3 years. We have a 5-year-old together. She's a bonus mom to my 8-year-old, and I got full custody of my 8-year-old 6, 7 years, about 7 years ago. It was like I was in this jumping off spot, got my driver's license, start being able to raise my head in the community, starting to understand, like, oh yeah, they're just not going to take this. I'm not, like, I don't have to go back if I don't want to. And ultimately my girlfriend and my wife now was like, well, why don't you just start your own company? And so I did it. And, today the opportunities that I get to give and be part of, and I mean, it's created just by showing up, right? Like that's all I've really done is just continued showing up, and yeah, completely blessed, completely blessed. You wouldn't be able to, if you would have asked me what I thought my life was going to be in 5, 6, 10 years, it would have been like living in an apartment, having a job with the union, having my driver's license, maybe visits with my son, and ultimately it's like I own homes. I own we own I just bought a Harley, like I get all of this stuff that I always thought that I couldn't have because of
And you don't have to visit your son, you get your son.
I'm present in my son's life. Like when I come home, they come to me like puppies because I'm present, right? Like they want to see dad. They want to give dad a hug, right? And I don't know how that happened. I it's definitely not my plan. It's definitely by doing what the guys in front of me are doing, is way better than my plan would have ever been. Um, it's it's crazy. And the way that I get to maintain it is continuing to be a sponge, continuing to give when it doesn't make sense, continuing to show up, being vulnerable. That used to look weak to me, but now it's like the more vulnerable with, say, my sponsor or even my wife, I get to hone who I show up as, because I'm still the same rough dude. I'm fast, ADHD. I have coaches and sponsors and spiritual advisors and all this stuff around me today. And, we were just talking about how, up until about a couple years ago, I had an exit plan. I got a backpack full of 50 grand in my backpack. I got, titles that aren't in my name. I'm going to exit if it starts to catch on fire. And finally that thinking has now gone. I don't have 50 grand in my safe no more. I don't have exit plans. But what I'm focused on now is I try to take every opportunity. And what happens, so I had owned like 5 or 6 companies now, cabinet shop, new build company. And we just launched the last one, 4D installation. And then I'm starting a new location down south in Lewis County. And, I'm so wide open and sometimes I get overextended, right?
Yeah.
But it's because I feel like to the core of me, I feel like the opportunities are going to keep coming. So I need to take it all now. And when those truth tellers are like, Michael, you're insane right now, right? Like you're fully insane. Like you're going to coach, you're a husband, you're going to go off. And I'm like, oh yeah, how am I going to do all this? you know?
I feel you on that because when people ask me what I do, I'm like, well, I do a lot of things. And it's like I'm running this, I'm doing that. I work here, I work there. I'm a mom. Like I do
Yeah.
real estate. We launched a coffee brand. I do this. I coach. I'm
Yeah.
mom. I mean, like the list goes on and on. So I feel like
Yeah.
our our minds are very wired the same.
Yes. And a lot of us that are developing this new vision for our lives and the lives around us, like as we develop into this person, it's who knows what we're going to end up doing. Who knows? And that's the sort of like the guessing and checking, like, honey, are you all right? Boys, are you good? Cool. That's rocking and rolling, right? Like, those weekly check-ins or those yearly vacations or, just that dinner time dinner, that we get every night, like being able to staying balanced, right? Like I'm not a balanced type of guy. I'm a send it, full send, like send it, like just get like don't think about it, don't plan it, just do it, right? And that's action. And I learned that getting sober. Like if I'm thinking about stuff, if I'm trying to figure it out, like I could have been in action and already been through it, right? And so like really the one of the gifts is like it it doesn't have to be the way that I think it's going to be, and it's going to be all right. Right. Like it's, as long as I send it, like just do. We get to make mistakes. I mean, we're all humans, right? Like we can make mistakes. We can say, hey, honey, I didn't mean to say it like that. This is what I was trying to say, like trying that. And there's so much. I mean, you know, Danielle and I, my wife and I, we met through Alcoholics Anonymous. I was literally riding a bus when she met me, living in an Oxford house, and just the ability to sort of blend two families. I came into this marriage with a son and a little sister that now connects, not a mom, no dad, nothing like that. And she brought her family, and learning how to really have the freedom to communicate and be ourselves, but also want the intimacy to where we're safe and protected, like just being able to have that is something that was never shown to me. I mean, I didn't see mom and dad talking about some differences, like I didn't see that. Like I seen bar fights and trailer parks, like, and I was just talking with a customer of mine that I was talking to, and Like my boys will never understand that bitching about eating steak and asparagus is really like a privilege, right? Like for a guy like me, like I was eating from food banks and donations from churches to now my boys are never gonna like knock on wood, if I continue doing what I'm doing, they're never gonna know, what that means, right? Which is good. It means that we're breaking chains and we're breaking cycles and things like that, which is pretty powerful in the realm of this. Because at the end of the day, it's life and death around my sister, right?
Right.
It scared the shit out of my sister growing up when seeing her brother do what I was doing, you
Yeah.
know, and it's powerful, it's powerful.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, you definitely, this quote popped up: "The world judged me by my worst actions, but recovery gave me a chance to rewrite the ending." I feel like that was definitely like, that's your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I always tell people is I used to change my goals to match my behavior, but through sobriety I get to change my behavior to match my goals. Right. And I didn't understand the difference because if Michael wanted to drive without a license, Michael would drive without a license. If Michael wanted to not ride the bus and he would take your car, Michael would just take your car. Not like there was no consequences for guys like me. But today I know like, oh, I can't drive that vehicle because I don't have my license. Right. I'm going to get my license and then I'll drive the vehicle. Right. And it sounds like, how can you live like that? Honestly, I look back and I'm like, how did I? Right. Like, how did I walk through the community so full of ego? Like, it's insane, completely insane. And I thought that I could fix it myself, right? Like I'm a man's man. I'm a fighter. I'll open the door for old ladies. Like I'm that man's man. But for whatever reason, I can't fix myself. Self-knowledge does not cure my problem, right? I can help you. I can help other men. I can help someone else see their problem, but I can't help myself. And that's where God shows up for me, right? Like I'm not a religious dude yet, I'm always putting yet on stuff because I'm a sponge, but it's definitely I tried a million times to stay sober. I meant to stay sober tons of times. And for whatever reason, when I step three, am I willing to give my life over to the care of God as I understand him? Yeah. God is or he isn't. It's not like something that I get to decide. Yeah, God is today, and then wake up tomorrow, God isn't, right? And because that's the gap, being sober a little while, you know, I have shortcomings, and if I don't remember that God is or God isn't, God is in my life. And is he going to be in it with my wife? Is he going to be in it with my kids? Is it going to be in my business? Is it going to be in my financials? Or is Michael still going to act like he's in control? Right. And in step 6 and 7, it's just like identifying those shortcomings and being able to find myself. And I hit my knees every morning to be able to, okay, God, like I understand that I'm human. I need you to be able to use me as an instrument to show
Right.
that it's possible. And I mean, it's so powerful and it's I don't even think that it works. I do it because I'm told to do it, right? I'm told to do it. And what I do notice on the other end that it works, right? Like how the hell like you can't tell me that God isn't here right now. You're telling me I have to hit my knees. And what my sponsor tells me all the time is it's not about his knees part, it's about showing humility by yourself so that when you're cut off, you're not that asshole in the freeway, right? Like so it's like
Right.
I gotta have humility, right?
So I was just talking to somebody about this, and about how somebody commented on my channel about all these testimonies about God helping them get sober. And I got to thinking about it. Majority of the podcasts that I have, they talk about God and how like they got to the other side because of praying and God and going back to church and faith. And so there's so much truth in it.
Right, right. What we say is God's doing for me what I couldn't do for myself, right?
Exactly.
Especially when you have a history of drinking no matter what, right? And like the obsession has been gone. I don't wake up with the obsession to drink. I don't wake up with the special obsession to go find score for some drugs, right? And I didn't do that. Like I would have did it when I was 15, when I was 17, when I was 20, when I was 25. Like that whole progression of where it's like it takes what it takes, and you're like, oh well, shit, I couldn't have fixed me even if I needed to. And now I'm a grown ass man thinking like, oh, I can't fix me. I'm praying that there is a God, right? Like,
Right.
like and it's all in hindsight. It's all like looking back at it. Like I wasn't I wasn't relying on God in my first 90 days. I wasn't relying on God in my first couple years. Like, yeah, that sounds good and that's cool. Yeah, whatever. Like you guys can do it, but you don't know me. But as we get in here and we really start to look at our dilemma that I drink no matter what, and once I start drinking, I can't stop, right? And then I can't fix myself. Well, if I can't fix myself, the book tells me not to rely on human powers and materialistic things, right? So if another alcoholic is teaching me and showing me how to live this lifestyle, there has to be something in between two alcoholics that I can't get on my own, right? And like for instance, I'd get text messages and they'd piss me off. Instead of reacting, I would call my sponsor. My sponsor would then ask me a few questions and it'd be like, oh, yeah, it's not about me, right? But I can't get that on that's a God shot. It's a God shot that I call my sponsor before Michael reacts to the text message, right? And those are the things like the drinking obsession and the drug obsession has been lifted, but I don't want to snap. I don't want to be an asshole. I don't want to, like drinking and drugging was the solution to deal with who I really am wired to
Good
the
point.
core of me. You know,
Right.
like I'm full tilt. I'm full tilt. And I was full tilt in my cups. I was full killed in jail. Like, and that didn't make sense. Like I did 7 years straight, didn't drink or drug the whole time. Thought I was good. Got out within 30 days. I was on the run again, drinking and drugging. Like, and until it was like this time, and I'm looking at drug court or prison for 10. It was like, yeah, I guess I can't fix my own stuff, right? Like I can't fix it. And that's where that God shot comes, is like there has to be something that, whether you believe it or not, in my life, I choose to believe it.
Right.
I choose to believe it because when I look at it and I'm willing to listen and do what I'm told, the outcome of having a God take the credit is a lot better than me taking the credit, right? I don't want the cure for all. I want to be an example of what this higher power or this God can do,
Yeah.
and I found that through Alcoholics Anonymous, by doing what I'm told. Like whether I believe it's going to work, whether I think it feels good. Like I didn't get sober to feel good, right? Like I wasn't like, I don't do stuff to feel good. Like my sponsor
So
told me,
I want to touch on that really quick. So you didn't get sober to feel good. So many people ask me, when do I start feeling better? Y- It's so much work. Like there's so much healing to be done on the internal side of us
oh
to
yeah,
make us feel better.
right, right. And
You don't just quit drinking and feel better.
oh, no, not when you do and done and continue to, I mean, the life, I mean, I don't show up to feel good. Like Mike Sponsor said, who gives a shit how you feel? People care about what you do. My son doesn't care how I feel. So I go to work every day. My wife doesn't care that I'm exhausted when I get home. So I just put on a smile, right? Like nobody cares how I feel. They care how I show up. And that's a little harsh. And I know people look at it like, well, if nobody cares how I feel. We care how you feel, but my feelings don't drive my actions, right? My feelings don't drive my decisions. My feelings don't get outside of my body unless it's to my sponsor, right? Like if I expressed how I felt all day long, I mean, you can see what you can see what the world's doing. Everybody's expressing how they feel. Nobody fucking cares how you feel. We care how you show up, right? And that's what was told to me, and it definitely works for me, right?
It makes sense.
It makes sense, and that's keeping it simple to me. Like obviously, my wife cares. Obviously, my friends and family care. Like they care how I feel. But at the end of the day, if my feeling is to fucking run from the cop and I express that feeling, then that's not the outcome that anybody wants. Because I can tell you that 9 years sober, the excitement and the adrenaline and the rush of knowing what that lifestyle brought, I miss it randomly. I miss it. Like I have to pay my phone bill today. I have to pay rent or my mortgages. I have to pay, like nobody told me that life was going to be this expensive, right? And sometimes I miss the concept of like, F you, just bill me, right? Like that was my motto for 25 years. Like I'm not paying you, bill me. And adulting is, I mean,
the thing.
luckily I'm in a spot that I can adult and provide, but nobody told me that shit when I was getting sober. And I think that the biggest thing is that when I found that I could stay sober and that if I continued doing what I was doing, ultimately I didn't settle because I could have settled living in a duplex. I could have settled living in the Oxford house. I could have settled working for an employer. I could have settled. And ultimately, once I realized that I could pee in a cup and be clean, I didn't settle. And I don't settle. And I don't encouraging settling, right? Like, we don't want to settle, right? Like, there's so much in the world and so much opportunity and so much, not just in recovery, but everywhere that settling is underrated, right? Like I didn't get sober to just be mediocre. I got sober to like make a footprint,
Yeah.
create. I mean, I caused a lot of chaos, right? Like,
So you broke generational cycles and now you're creating a legacy.
yep, yep. It's pretty powerful. The legacy. I mean, we just got done doing the Robinson Trust. Nobody told me like I won't say it on here, but they told me how much like I was worth. And like my wife's in disbelief. She hasn't had no clue. You know what I'm saying? I had no clue. I mean, we're talking seven figures, right? So it's like, how did I go from not even being able to afford a pair of shoes to
Yeah.
7, 8, 9 years later being able to like I could retire today. Like
Right.
really I could retire today. And that is just impeccable, right? And I tried to ignore it because I don't like the shiny look at me, look at me, look at me.
Right.
But it is pretty powerful because I'm not unique. Anybody that's doing what we're doing can have the same result, right? Like it's not like, oh, Michael had a new opportunity or Michael was given this or I didn't have
You
no,
weren't given anything.
nobody gave me anything.
Yeah.
Nobody, my wife's giving me support. My sister's giving me support. My kids love me, right? Like but no one like, and that's crazy too because like I didn't know how to frame a house. I didn't know how to pour concrete. I didn't know how to install a light fixture. Like I didn't. I was raised by the system behind bars, and somehow I'm in the industry, winning awards. And they just voted me onto the board of directors in the Olympia Master Builders. And this is all like just showing up with with a new experience, not acting like I know it all, and somehow it's paying off, right?
So
And now I know.
I love that because so many like million and billionaires out there came from nothing. They weren't handed. I mean, of course there are some and
Yeah,
whatever. But I mean, some of the ones that we listen to were not handed, $1 million go start a business. No, it was I'm eating out of the
figure it
freaking
out.
trash can and my mom is nowhere to be found and here I am changing people's lives and
Yeah,
making money, changing the world.
right. And I often get not question, but it's a common conversation with my sponsor and I, who my sponsor has 40 years and 42 years, and he's like, what would you do as all the stuff just disappeared? And it's like, I'll go to work, right? Like, and that's I didn't understand the work ethic. I didn't understand showing up. I didn't understand, like, I wasn't taught to go to work, right? Like, I mean, it's common sense as a kid, right? Like, you would think like common sense, but like, it wasn't very common sense for me, right? Like, I'd rather sell drugs or I'd rather, you know, hustle this side or do this over here. And I thought that I could create a life that way. And honestly, like, because materialistics, as abundant as they are in my life, if they all disappeared, I'm still going to be spiritually fit, right?
Right.
Like I'm not going to go get drunk because I lose everything, right? Like ultimately, it's all God's, all my higher powers, and I'm just an instrument of being able to maneuver through it, right? Like I'm responsible for 15 employees, 70, 80 grand a month, and customers don't even understand who they have in their house, right? Like if they ask or if it comes up, because I'm pretty transparent, like I don't hide from my past. Orange is my color. I wore orange inside of jails and prisons and juvies for a long time. My book tells me my past is my greatest asset. So everything of mine is really highlighted orange, right? On the company side, and it's making an impact. Like you see my yard signs, you see us, right? Like we're noticeable. So it's that branding and I don't know how it's happened.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Orange.
Yeah.
That-
Yeah, like everybody's like, "Why'd you get orange?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Do you want the truth?" Right? Like the truth is I wore it a lot, and my sobriety says embrace it. right?
Right.
And now it's definitely embraced in our community. So
I think being vulnerable is the biggest key to being successful with sobriety.
yeah,
I mean, so many of us want to. I mean, I was that person. I mean, I have quite the past. Reckless, shameful, regretful. I mean, all the things. I was the one that couldn't stop once I started. I mean, I never got in trouble with the law. I'm not sure how. I wrecked my car. I mean, I've been in some really sketchy situations, and a lot of stuff from my past keeps creeping up, and I have to deal with it, but it's not going to drag me back to drinking. It
right,
like
right, yeah. And what's what's really helpful is that there's a healthy fear of like, okay, if I know that I'm gonna drink no matter what type of drunk, then I got to be mindful of how to be spiritually fit so that when those temptations do come, because they will come, it's not a matter of if, it's just when. I want to be spiritually fit. Like I'm not gonna have a sponsor, I'm not gonna have a book, I'm not gonna have anything in between me and that drink except for my higher power, right? And so that's what the book talks about. It's not like, oh, one day I wake up and I just go have a drink. It's like, no, I'm having a good day and all of a sudden I just grab a bottle and drink, right? And that's why I stay in the middle today. I stay in the middle so that I can watch for those things that I know how I'm wired, and everybody's wired different, but I'm aware of what's going on. And when those things start to crop, I start to talk to my sponsor about, right? Because I got way more to lose today than I did when I got here, right? Like I didn't have shit when I got here. I didn't have self-esteem. I didn't have family. I didn't have friends. Like I had two black bags and an empty soul, right? Like I was empty. Like I was bankrupt, spiritually bankrupt. And, now I'm spiritually full. I got friends, I got family, I got income, I got community. I mean, I'm definitely wanting to stay in the middle of it so that I don't drink, right? Like I don't think I got another recovery in me.
right.
I don't.
And a lot of us don't. And I've never I since my very first video, everybody has always said, "Don't drink again the second time's harder." So that has just stuck with me. And as the longer I am sober, the more I have aha moments. And I've been saying this a lot lately, but I drank up until I got pregnant with my first daughter. And then I just didn't drink for 7.5 months. She came early. She came at 34 weeks. And I went through the NICU for 16 days without drinking.
Yeah.
Got home. She was home for 3 days. My cat died, and I started drinking. It took
Right.
just that one downfall. How do I live with my cat dying? Because I'm going to drink this bottle of wine and go right back to where I was before I got pregnant.
Right.
And
Right.
it's just, it can happen so easy. And I know that about me. And that is, I think a lot of people aren't as self aware, and they think, oh, I can do this. I've got this. I feel good. Just one. And I'll just keep it at one. But then it just compounds over time, and you're right back to where you started.
Right. The power of choice is gone, right? Like
Yeah.
the power of like, you know what, I'm gonna have one glass of wine, I'm gonna have one glass. And pretty soon, you're drinking and hiding bottles around the house. And
Right.
you're not showing up for work or you're showing up late and that's crazy, right? Like
Right.
that's the crazy part of it is like I can't, you know, stay locked in a room for the rest of my life, right? Like I believe I can go anywhere. We go to casinos. I'll go to a bar for a business meeting. I'm not drinking, but I'm not entertaining the idea of going there by myself or, like I just don't. And luckily, the longer I'm staying sober, those things that I thought that I used to like, I get to find out new things that I actually really like.
Yeah.
Now on our coins it says thine self be true, right? And for me it's like, I use this fishing analysis as like I thought I loved fishing, right? But I bought some fishing poles and I went fishing, and what I realized is like I was in love with the illusion of going fishing. Yeah, I like to go fishing every once in a while, but I'm not a stone cold go slay them every day, all day long, right? And I was wrapped around the illusion that I loved fishing, right? And the truth is, to be true to myself, I could fucking take it or leave it, right? Like I don't care about fucking fishing, right?
Right.
And I get to be that vulnerable, right? Like being vulnerable of like, wait, do I really like race cars or do I really like fill in the blank? And really being able to figure out what I like, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm 17, 18, 19 years old most of the time of my life, It's I was laughing. I was talking with one of my sponsors He's like, when did you feel like you grew up? Like, most of the time, I'm arguing with a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. I don't think I've grown up very much, right? Like, because like I still find myself being immature and reacting, just
Yeah,
reacting,
same.
and yeah, it's
Some of us are just born a little bit more reactive.
yes,
And
they
I
need us. They
yeah,
need us. Yeah,
I mean somebody's got to put a little fire in their, their life because
yes.
I do the same thing. I'll get like some stupid comments and they're like attacking me and then of course I like fire back at them. I'm like, why
Oh,
do
they
you
need
even
it.
react to these people? Like why? Like,
Yeah.
just
Well,
like you
what?
mentioned the text messages. I
Yeah.
mean, what purpose does it to feed into these people that are making us mad?
Right. Well, what really never made sense until I really got into sobriety this time is that normies that are wired
Normies.
like us,
Yeah.
normies, they're gonna say and do whatever they want. But if I continue to listen to the normal people, the judges, the lawyers, the cops saying, "Hey, Michael, you just need to put the bottle down," I would have shot myself. Right? Like, so I don't listen to normies. I'll consider what some of them are saying to me, but I'm not doing what they're telling me. I'm not going to miss listen because there's a lot. Our meetings around here, you got some real alcoholics and you got some in betweeners, and then you got some people that just want to hang out, right? And if I did what half of the room or 3/4 of the room was telling me to do, I would be drinking or I'd have already killed myself because their solution isn't the same as my solution, right? Like I I drink no matter what. I once I start, I can't stop. Right? They don't have that dilemma. Normies don't have that dilemma. They're like, well, just put it down. You're weak. It's willpower. No,
Right?
it's not. It's not willpower. Has nothing to do with willpower.
It's my
And until
brain.
I'm fully convinced of that, I'm gonna listen to these other people, right? And I mean, monkey see, monkey do, pick the right monkey, right? Like that's what I tell people.
I like that
I
one.
mean, because I mean, you picked the wrong person to run you through the program. All of a sudden, you're doing some left field stuff, and you're drunk again, and now you're pissed off at Alcoholics Anonymous, right? Like it's not Alcoholics Anonymous. It's pick the right person to do the step work with, right? Like
Can I ask you what was the hardest step for you?
I think the number 10, step 10, it's that daily, we call it daily reprieve, but it's like, sometimes I convince myself that my daily actions aren't um, um, as harmful as they really are, whether it's to an employee, whether it's to the community, whether it's somebody at 7-Eleven. I'm sharp. Um, I walk with a presence. I'm loud. I'm abrasive. Like I'm the guy that can walk into any room and suck the air out of it and not even know that he's doing it until he's told that he's doing it later. And so being able to be mindful of that in the flow of life, right?
Yeah.
Like I got a lot of moving pieces. Yeah, I'm spiritual and yeah, I'm alcoholic, but at the end of the day, I'm rocking and rolling in this thing called life, right? And so like the hardest part is being able to be mindful of what other people are experiencing as in that moment, right? Because I'm a presence, not like ego driven. For whatever reason, I suck the room out. I suck the air out of the room, not purposely. And now that I notice it, it's like, okay, just come down a couple gears, ask questions, don't start directing traffic, right? And because I'm just naturally that way, right? Like in prison, I'm telling people what to do. In the community, I get sober, I'm telling people what to do. And it's not necessarily because, oh, listen to me, look at me. That's how life has fallen at my feet. Like I'm responsible for a lot of different things. I have that sense of urgency, like I'm not going to get it anymore. That, sometimes that step 10, being mindful, being able to say, hey, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Hey, honey, I didn't mean to say it like that.
Mm.
Hey, boys, I wasn't trying to be an asshole when I told you to clean your room. Apologize. You want help next time, right? Like being able to pause and say, hey, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Because what happens is when I don't say sorry and when I don't change my behavior, those people around me, usually my loved ones, start to harbor,
Yeah.
animosity or irritation that really I'm 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 creating it. I'm creating that chaos in other people's life, right?
Yeah.
Just like I was when I was drinking and drugging. I'm a tornado. Just because I got sober doesn't mean I'm a tornado. So the hardest step is that 10, being able to stop in the moment, be like, oh yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to come that way. You good? How can I help? You know, I think that was the hardest part. And five, I don't think I have the balls to do step 5 today, and luckily I did it
Missed that.
right. It's where you're knee to knee with another alcoholic and you're going through your resentment list and you're talking about all the things that you've done or that have been done to you and
Oh, so
inventory.
my my most of my community knows that I didn't go to AA, but I talked to a lot of people that obviously have gone to AA. My therapist, she actually made me do that.
Yeah.
And it's hard. And especially when you write the resentment list of yourself and you're like, I am disgusting.
Right. Right. And then being able, like those things that didn't go on the list and really telling somebody, those things that are the deep, dark secret that nobody was going to know what I did. And being able to, what we do is, we write it all down and then we talked about it. And then after you're done talking about it, you're supposed to go take an hour and sort of just not contemplate, but meditate, I don't like that word because I don't ever have a quiet time in my mind. It's always chatter in there. But it was the first time, I'm probably 6 months sober. It's the first time in my life where one man knew everything that I've ever done, that was ever done to me, that I was ever part of, everything, like everything. And the book tells me that if I skip this vital step, I'm gonna drink again. Right? If I don't get trustworthy, if I don't lay it out on the table and just spew it out, then I'm gonna drink again. Right? And the concept of me drinking again is hell for everybody, myself included. So I'm glad I did it when I did it. And I go through the steps, I'd say probably once a year, and then I run guys through the steps, 2-3 times a year. So I stay plugged in. It's not the same inventory that I had when I got here, but there was, you know, hundreds of victims. You'd come out and your car would be gone, right? Like I mean, the recklessness and just the self-absorbed person that I was, like there was a lot of victims in
And
my
this
life.
all started at 13.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then your mom, she wasn't in the picture or she was?
My mom was in the picture. Essentially, we moved around a lot. My mom was a bartender. When she was working, she'd get in a fight with her boyfriend or she'd split up and we'd move to another school. We'd be the new family. And, like we've lived in like I think I went to 10, 15 middle schools, my middle school years, from Montana to Washington to Vegas to Knoxville, Tennessee to Sevierville back to here. I mean, I was expelled out of school when I was 15 and I was hanging iron and like 15 years old. I'm fighting, I'm messing with older women and I'm working, right? Like a grown ass man at 15 years old, right? Like, and I look at the 15-year-olds today and I'm like, dude, what the heck
Uh,
is wrong?
well,
Like,
I mean, to be fair.
right? And so like luckily my boys are going to be able to stay kids as long as possible, right? But I was drinking and driving when I was 13 years old. Like I was the designated driver, driving my mom and her friends around.
You were the designated drunk driver.
Yeah, yeah. Because I drink, I couldn't sleep in the morning unless I had malt liquor in me. I didn't do anything unless I had whiskey with me. And I was rough. I mean, 13-year-old kid. I mean, I was a bold 13-year-old kid. I was living on. I mean, my mom moved out, or my mom got married. She ended up leaving back to my grandpa's, and so I'm left on the streets. So my sister went with my mom. I chose to stay at the husband's house that she was getting a divorce with. Long story short, him and I start fist fighting. Long story short, I ended up leaving 13 years old. So, I'm robbing, stealing, staying at a friend's house at 13 years old. And I thought that was normal. By the time I was 15, 16, that lifestyle that was so un the unnormal became normal for me. I knew what was right and wrong, but pretty soon it was like the guilty conscience had left me. So pretty soon, by the time I'm 17, 18 years old, I mean, I'm cooking meth. The first time I went to prison, I got caught with a meth lab, a pistol, and a stolen car, and I got 280 months, right? 280 months, 18 years old, going to close custody, never knew what I was expecting. I show up there and I just start embracing that lifestyle, you know? And I mean, when I got out, this time when I got out, I had to redefine everything, my virtues, my everything. I was so brainwashed, getting wrapped up into the white politics and who I thought I wanted to be and how I thought I wanted to live, that by the time I got sober this time, it was like, there's no place in this community for a monster like that. I was a monster,
Mm.
shaved head, big beard, violent. My views were completely wrong. So it wasn't just like the sobriety that I had overcome. it was that institutionalized that I just ended up being, right? Like, it's not like I grew up and was like, I'm going to be this racist dude. It was like, no, I'm going to live my life because my life is here. And if you didn't do that, then you were a suspect. Like, you're not going to have a very easy time, right? And so by the time I got on the other side of it, it was like, wait a minute, I'm fighting for beliefs that I don't even believe in, right? And distancing myself from all that propaganda and all that brainwashing, whether it came from the system or the guys inside the system, it pretty soon became where I was like, it's not me against you. And when I started really digging into my sobriety, I was starting to identify like, wait a minute, I'm not a racist. I'm not a separatist. I don't want nobody to fail. I want everybody to win if they're willing to work for it.
Yeah.
And even on the politics side, like, and we don't discuss it, but I'm just a working class man trying to provide for my family. I don't care what you believe. Just don't let it affect my house. Right.
Right. Yeah.
And essentially it's like, my buddies tell me that I haven't. Well, I just got my passport, so they said that I'm starting to become an adult. But they said, like, Michael, you don't even get an opinion on that right now, right? Like, you don't. Who cares? Just keep on doing what you're doing, right? Like, and it's like I understand that concept, but it's also like, wait a minute, it's so far opposite of what I think or what it is, right? Like, but it's like, and I don't. I usually I usually keep it pretty PG-13, whether I'm talking from a podium or talking to, we're involved in a lot of different, I'm going to call them reentry programs, to break this recidivism and things like that, just because there's a time and place for all that stuff. There's a time and place to talk about who it was and how I was and all of that. And I really think that the program, like I was doing, they sentenced me to, when I started drug court, they sentenced me to do mental health. And I was like, I'm doing mental health, but honestly, I did it for about 9 months and the gal was like, you know what, whatever you're doing outside of here, don't ever stop. I was spending years or 2 years inside of a cell by myself, 24 hours a day. Every other day I was going out to the yard. I didn't have nobody to write me. I didn't have nobody to call me. I'm literally reading literature that that was fueling my culture, like what I thought my culture was, right? So it's really insane. Even saying it now, it's like, how the hell did I go from there to there? Like, it just swung opposite. Like, it's a God shot and it's grace, right? There's nothing that I did to earn the life that I get. Like, thank God I don't get what I deserve, right? Like, the amount of chaos and the hurt and the damage that I did, I should be in prison for the rest of my life. And I know that. I wake up every morning knowing that. It's not a weight on me, but it's ultimately one of the motivators for me to stay in the middle of my recovery, right? And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't understand, like, this fourth or fifth time that I've been able to have this opportunity out here, because I didn't get sober my first time. It took a lifetime of ups and downs and destruction to finally, and my son, Darwin, it was like, he helped me change. Like, I learned how to love. Like, he was the first person I ever loved.
Right.
Like, loved. Like, I'd give
Yeah.
my life to you, love, right? And that changed everything for me. And as you start to get deeper and deeper into, because there's so much, like, there's so many different avenues inside of my lifestyle that it's like, how the hell, like, what's on paper and what you see and get is nowhere near to what the odds were.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's fucking crazy.
What would you say to the 13-year-old version of yourself?
uh, uh, I would tell myself to quit sheltering the known destruction, right? Like, as a 13-year-old, I knew what was going on in my household was not normal, but I was taught to keep it a secret, right? Like, I was taught to not tell nobody. I
Right.
was taught to, like, don't ask for help. And I would tell myself, like, man up, you already, like, you can't, like, ask for help. Go to your principal, go to your teacher,
Yeah.
go to your neighbor, tell the truth, right? Like, and it gives me goosebumps, right? Because without me being bold then, like I am now, I suffered and caused a lot of damage. Somebody could have came into my life and helped my situation then, and it could have had a completely different outcome, right? Like, don't fucking keep it a secret. It's not a secret. And it aligns with what I see. It's not necessarily, kids getting to make their own decision, But like a kid needs to raise their hand and say, "Hey, these my parents are fist fighting in the house. Like this ain't normal. This ain't normal. I know this ain't normal. I don't have to mask it, right? But I would mask it and I would act like it was nothing was going on at home. Getting molested. I was getting molested for 4 or 5 years. I had to keep it a secret. But I would have rated like quit keeping it a secret. Like you're not protecting nobody. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting
Right.
your future. Like it's not a secret. Blow it up. And that's how I live today. There's no secrets in my life. I blow it up. No secrets. We don't keep secrets.
Right.
Because it's just it's insane. And what's really crazy is I would tell myself don't keep those secrets. But as you look at the reality is that the convict that I became through the system, being raised by the system, I wasn't telling anybody anything. So when I start to tell this one guy what was really going on, it catapulted me into the fourth dimension, a spiritual axiom that I couldn't do on my own, right? Like there's that axiom where it's like God is or he isn't. And I chose for him to be because my whole path, it's a lot of depth and weight, a lot of depth and weight. And to know like, it's because I did this thing, this one thing, it changed my whole life. And
Right.
now we don't have secrets. Now I get to love one another. I get to show up. I get to be helpful. I get to be happy. I get to be kind. I get to experience life that I never thought was possible. I never seen people retire when I was 13, 14 years old. There were bikers and bartenders. Like that wasn't happening in my life. And now I get to see it happening in others around me. So
You get to be the chain breaker.
yeah, chain breaker.
I I absolutely I love that. And then one last question. For someone still deep in addiction or in the system, what would be your message to them?
I don't know how appropriate this is, especially for a podcast. Better you than me, right? Like it's pretty black and white, right? Like you can get out of it too. I'm not unique or different. I was in there. I knew everything. Like the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous are all across the world. There's a hotline that you can call. My phone number. Can I get my phone number on here? Because it's like at the end of the day, that's what we do. If you're a man, I'd answer the call. My phone number is 253-448-9468. Call it any time, text it, whatever. That's there's I get sober, take the drugs away and alcohol away. There's no red carpet, right? If there's no red carpet for me, everybody around us has been doing it forever, right? Like the community has been thriving without me forever. It's not like I get sober and everybody needs the bell goes off, right?
Yeah.
Like it's pretty black and white. You do what we do, you get what we get. You continue to do what you want to do, you're gonna continue doing what you get. That insanity. When Herbert Spencer says contempt prior to investigation, don't ever, I just butchered it, but it's talking about like, don't make your judgment before you've actually tried it. Like, try it, then make your judgment, right? Like, and that's what I did. It was the last thing I tried and the first thing that it worked. The 12 steps to Alcoholics Anonymous changed my life.
So I have gotten hate for this, but I always just tell people, just do it. And then they're like, well, you don't realize that some people can't just do it. I'm like, well, you can work at it. I know there's like a whole, like, there's, detoxing and all the things. I know this, but like you just said, black and white.
It's black and white. It's black and white. It has nothing to do with willpower. It takes what it takes, right? Like, my hat's off to the people, yourself, that's like, oh yeah, I didn't want to drink no more, and I just, started connecting, and now I'm sober. Guys like me, I tried that. It didn't work. I tried to go to just meetings. I tried to just go to church. I tried to do all that other stuff, and it didn't work for a guy like me. Like it was like I got stopped, arrested. I was arrested, butt naked, and they took me to jail, and I had the monkey off my back. So when I got out, I started doing what I was told. It wasn't like Michael all of a sudden was like, my lifestyle is a little messed up. I should stop drinking and drugging. It was like the cops arrested me. I got sober, and now I have a different lifestyle, right? And so
Yeah.
by doing what I'm told, by doing what I'm told.
And everybody's story is different. Not one of ours is the same. And I feel,
yeah.
And it doesn't matter if I'm worse than you or you're worse than me. Like, we let alcohol go. We resonate with somebody out there that we can help change their lives. And if it wasn't for my YouTube community,
Yeah.
I can't tell you I'd be sober.
Right. Yeah.
I had nothing to, there was nothing that I don't know, but YouTube, helps me. It kept me accountable.
Well, especially when you're talking to other people with with testimonies or with
Yeah.
what they're doing, right? Like, and that's what's really cool is nobody can say this is how you have to do it. There's no like I'm an alcoholic. There's one way to do it when you identify as being an alcoholic. Like if you're wired like me and you can go through these steps, read the doctor's opinion of the first 164 pages. It's going to identify what the real alcoholic is, the symptoms. And if you can identify with those symptoms, then it makes sense to do the rest of the 12 steps and continue doing it. Some people just realize that like, oh wait, I got a problem. Yeah, I'm wired like that, but I can plug in this way and get the same result, right? Like I
Right.
have a few buddies that are like that, that they just come to and they're like, you know what, I'm done with meetings. I'm done with that shit. But they're plugged in with me. They're like, you're all I need, right? Like that connection, right? Like that safety net, you have a safety net. We have responsibility today. Like I didn't have no responsibility before, you know?
Yeah. I
Yeah, it's
mean,
crazy.
it's just a crazy world. I mean, I love sharing everybody's stories. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe mine's not as detrimental as, so many others, but I mean, I was very reckless and it was not a pretty 20 something years of my drinking. I mean, I didn't have the flashing lights, but I mean, I could have.
I'm sure
I
your
mean,
friends did.
yeah.
Sure, some of your friends did, right? Like, and that's and it's not necessarily we all have that common. That's why sobriety works. Like, we all have that common ground of like,
Yeah.
yeah, me too. I had a problem, right? Like the way that we do it isn't necessarily going to be apples to apples,
Right.
right? Like, there's a ton of guys that are good guys that are doing it through a different sponsor line that are getting the same thing that I'm getting, right? Like, it's not like, oh, this is the way. Like, it's like podcast, whatever. There was a few years where it was my wife and my kids, right? Like I stayed sober. I was an asshole and I wasn't like I was a dry drunk, but it was like they kept me on the beam from drinking, right? Because ultimately that's the goal, right? Like don't want to lose focus that like drinking and drugging is my problem.
Yeah.
It used to be my solution, but it becomes a problem for everybody around me, right? Like and so like because I mean, honestly, I didn't have a problem with drinking. I loved drinking. I loved drinking and driving. I loved all that. Now I find out like that's fucking completely insane. But
Right? Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Wow. Well, I really appreciate I'm sure you have to go, but I really appreciate you coming on here. And I
yeah,
mean,
for
I
sure.
seriously talked to you for so long.
Yeah.
But so what's the next steps for you? I mean, do you plan on I mean, you're pretty involved in the sober community and I feel
Oh
like
yeah.
Washington, everybody that I talked to from Washington, AA there, I have not heard any negatives from AA in Washington.
Yeah, and I think that what's next step, for me individually, I'm getting plugged in with state Alcoholics Anonymous, but I'm also we're create my wife and I are going to create like AA Hall on a farm we just bought in Rochester. So we just bought 5.5 acres, and we're gonna create something that, is gonna give back to the sobriety, the sober networking, But I don't know what's around the corner. I know that if I stay sober and I'm willing to work for it, I can have whatever I want.
Right.
We just launched this fourth dimension construction group, and it's more of like a landing spot. So if you want anything inside of the construction industry, but it's also my wife's starting a business in Jing, dimensional consulting. So, you want to buy real estate, you need help with your credit, you need systems for your business, you need, some one-on-one coaching to learn how to manage, like all of that kind of stuff. So it's like, I don't know what's around the corner. I know I
Well,
got football lots, right? Like my little guys are 5 and 8, so it's like football's coming, a lot of work, a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff coming.
yeah, I have a 7 and 9 year old, so I totally understand.
Yeah, yeah. They're like, luckily they're two boys. I think that if I would have had a girl, it would have shaved some of the roughness of me because I am rough.
I
Like I'm
yes,
right,
I've
and
always said that. I'm like, I think little girls soften their daddies.
yeah, and like I got two boys. I like I'm that rough dad, but it's also like I want little men, right? Like little men that ain't offended by everybody's bullshit around us. You
Yeah, I get that.
know?
Oh my gosh. Michael, I'm so glad that you were here to share your story today. And I mean,
Yeah,
I
thank
wish
you
you
for
guys
having
the
me.
best of luck in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah, and maybe we'll talk again in the future. Maybe we'll do a co-ed. Maybe my wife and I together.
Yeah.
That's the truth teller, honestly. Like you could ask her how I'm doing, because it's yeah, doing maybe a couples podcast or something like that.